Councilmember Rick Cole here with your Monday, July 20th Council Preview. 13 of the 15 items on our open agenda are on the consent calendar, which normally we take up with a single motion and no debate. But I'll be calling 3 of them up for further discussion. They come from the Department of Transportation and they're interrelated. One is a 5-year plan for our public transit buses and dial ride service. Another is the allocation of $10 million in future Measure M transportation dollars from the county. And finally, the acceptance of a $2.4 million grant from the state of California. What all of them have in common is further commitment to buying those 35 more expensive and larger buses that are fueled by green hydrogen. Except there's no such thing as green hydrogen, at least not in any quantity or at any price that we can afford. The hope is that by the time these new transit buses are delivered, green hydrogen will be a thing. That's really not my issue. I've already lost that battle. My concern is how much money we're spending on capital. $52.5 million for these new buses, $85 million for a new bus yard to store and fuel and repair those buses, plus our dial ride vans, and more than $15 million to build a new hydrogen fueling station. That's over $150 million of capital investment in a system that doesn't carry very many passengers. And the reason it doesn't carry very many passengers is it doesn't come very often. So when this came before the Municipal Services Committee last week, my colleagues and I were united in asking that we put more emphasis on more frequent bus service, on marketing our buses. They're safe, they're clean. We ought to have more people riding them if we're going to spend so much money on building a big, beautiful system. The most important item, though, on our agenda is the further consideration of putting a tax measure on the ballot in November. I won't belabor the reasons I'm deeply reluctant about taking that step. I spoke about those at Monday's council meeting last week. But we are faced with a real dilemma. The fire chief tells us that we need $200 million worth of investment to upgrade our fire department to meet the needs of the 21st century. 2 of our fire stations would collapse in a major earthquake, and we need a 9th fire station to have even coverage for emergency response throughout our city. We also need additional staffing because calls continue to rise year after year, not so much for fires, but for medical emergencies. So when you think about what happened with the Eaton fire, when you think about what happened recently in Venezuela, the devastation from a major earthquake, 2 major earthquakes in a row, and you think about the day-to-day needs of emergency medical response, we really can't afford not to invest in our fire department. The question is, how do we do that? Do we do it with a tax measure on the November ballot? Well, that's one step, but people are reluctant to pay higher taxes. The other is deep cuts in our existing services. Those would be deeply unpopular as well. So we'll be talking more about that on Monday. Tune in and share your perspective either through an email beforehand, or you can appear in person, or you can appear on the phone. We look for your voice on these important decisions.